Great. Well, thanks very much for people taking a chunk out of their Saturday, and Gary and Jay, you guys being judges and sitting through the whole thing. I'm sure there's other things you'd like to be doing in your 96-degree weather, but we'll take it from here. So I'm Tom Wuest. I'm the CEO of Ulcer Solutions, and we're going to talk about what I consider wound care elevated. It's a new standard. Okay. Gotcha. So those are our three devices, two of them on the market now, one in prototype, and we're going to learn about it today. Uh, don't need to talk about me too much. There's lots of links here. I think I won't have the slides, but I do some consulting with various startups in the healthcare field. I'm a retired orthopedic trauma surgeon, practiced in the Eugene, Springfield, Oregon area for about a quarter century. Got a master's down at USC. Now 15 years ago, was a physician in residence for a cohort 3 years after that. As president and board chair of Agate Resources, which is a physician-founded group, I led the company in a $146 million transaction and acquisition by Centene back in about 2013-14. While I was president of Slocum Orthopedics, doubled their revenue in about 3 to 4 years. And also while I was there, since I was an orthopedic trauma surgeon, coordinated building a hospital-based trauma service with our three trauma fellowship trained folks to cover a population area of about 500,000. So this is the problem: heel and ankle pressure injuries, ulcers, bed sores, whatever you want to call them. And we know it's important because Collego's has already developed a module to try and figure it out. So unhappy happies is where we sit, and happy could easily be the worst healthcare four-letter acronym, which stands for hospital acquired pressure injuries. There's 3 million of these annually in the United States. And it's a big deal because, as most of you on the call know, these type of things are what's called Medicare never events. So it represents uncompensated care. And the cost of treating a single ulcer that occurs in a hospital is anywhere from a low end of about $27K to upwards to about $125K per patient. And that's uncompensated. The hospital or hospital system eats it. There's 11.6 billion spent a year on pressure injuries, both inside and outside the hospitals. And we have a very large presence outside the hospitals as well in the post-acute space. But the financials have to do with how the hospital has to deal with it. The biggest problem is it's not getting better. There's lots of hospital acquired conditions, unfortunately. The good news is the vast majority of them are getting better. Adverse drug events down 28%. Ventilator associated pneumonias, huge problem in COVID, but down 13%. C. difficile, for the non-MDs on the call, it's a bad infection you get when you've had too many antibiotics and it can kill you. And postoperative DVTs or blood clots, all of these conditions are going down. Pressure injuries, however, continue to worsen. And the question is why? And the answer is pretty darn easy. The current standard of care is decidedly unsatisfactory. These are the boots you see on your friends, relatives, patients, surrounding, and they are basically universally hated. They don't do a good job. They don't distribute the pressure very evenly. They don't unload the areas that are required. They have straps. Almost half the patients basically refuse to wear them, both inpatient and outpatient. And when they're on your foot, they're bulky, hot, uncomfortable. You can fall and trip, and it's not pleasant. We like to think that we have elevated wound care because, as you can see on the right, the heel and malleoli are not touching anything but air. And it's really hard to get a pressure injury from air. So what our device does, this is the Heel Keeper, the first product that we've developed, fully elevates the heel and ankle away from any pressure-inducing surface. Patients love it. It's more comfortable. It's not claustrophobic. It's not hot. I can wear it and walk in it. I can wear it to bed. I can get up to pee in the middle of the night, and I don't have to undo 6 straps and take it off and trip over it on the way to the bathroom. And patients actually wear it a great deal of time longer, and I've got some data to support that. The advantage is it's 100% offloading of the heel and ankle. Patients can walk in it. We have a patented contoured pad that also provides relief over the Achilles tendon, an area that is very problematic if you get an ulcer there. Patients wear it more, the foot doesn't get hot or constrained. And the nice thing is caregivers can usually do a wound inspection and or dressing change without ever having to remove the device. We also have an ankle keeper, which is specifically for malleolar ulcers. The malleoli are your quote ankle bones. If you feel on the inner outside of your ankle where those bones are, very thin skin over that. These are problematic to treat. And this is specifically designed for the ankle and no other product on the market like it. It has a C-shaped cushion, which helps milk the edema back to the heart where it belongs. The concentric cushions are actually inhibitory to healing because they constrain the edema, can actually slow the healing. You can wear most shoes with this. We're under a different iteration now. The pad's going to be slightly changed, but this has been exceedingly effective for malleolar ulcers. This is our product in prototype, the Heel Keeper AFO. AFO stands for ankle foot orthosis. Basically, it's a foot brace that is removable from the Heel Keeper device with a single Velcro strap. So this is for folks who are intubated or paralyzed for a long period of time in the ICU, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, for folks in stroke rehab, spinal cord injury folks, folks who have paralysis for other reasons, to keep that foot right at 90 degrees, because if it drifts down over about a 3-week period of time, you develop a heel and an ankle contracture that if and when you're able to walk again, it becomes essentially impossible. And as opposed to the Heel Keeper and Ankle Keeper, the AFO attachment should allow us to piggyback onto various HCPCS codes that are used for this device, so it becomes reimbursable at a very nice price point. So here's our Heel Keeper AFO in action. Simple Velcro removal. Out it comes. And there it goes back to the regular Heel Keeper, so patients can continue to use it. Perhaps when they don't need the plantar flexion support, goes right back in. And that device also can be removed, just like it shows, for dressing changes and inspection of the wound. So we're a physician-designed product, physician-led company with a patient-centered focus. Our founder, much continuing the weekend's theme, seems like everybody in this field is either a frustrated, retired, or currently practicing emergency room doctor. Dr. Finley's no different. He started taking wound care shifts, really enjoyed the wound care work. Might be because it's 8 to 5 without call, but regardless, he found that nearly half of his patients who had heel ulcers or wounds weren't getting better solely because they refused to wear the boot. And he said, I got to change this. So he came up with the Heel Keeper and eventually designed the Ankle Keeper. Al Cochran's taken a couple biopharmaceutical companies public. John Deputy, our CFO, has long industry experience and also took Monaco Coach to public listing. And Rich Wincoop has a long history of FDA compliance. So we got a strong team. A little bit of clinical stuff over the next couple of minutes. This is a small cohort, but out of about 75 patients, our Heel Keeper is the dark purple. The traditional boot is the light purple. And the percentage of time or during the day they wear it. Not quite 2 to 1, but a 63% longer in our Heel Keeper than the traditional boot. And people know that to relieve a pressure injury or to treat or prevent it, you have to take away the pressure. The longer they're in the device, the less pressure it is, the more likely for healing. Comfort equals compliance, compliance equals healing. This graph shows how long patients wear each device. Again, the Heel Keeper's in the dark purple, traditional boots in the light purple. There is about 10% of folks who refuse to wear the Heel Keeper anyway, but 40% on the left-hand side refuse to wear the boot at all. This, I think, is literally where the money is. Between 12 and 17 hours and 18 and 23 hours, patients are in the Heel Keeper 2x and close to 3x longer than in a competing device. And when patients who have had the opportunity to wear both, 11 to 1 prefer the Heel Keeper. 80% prefer the Heel Keeper, 7%, well, I'll stick with the boot. 13% says, yeah, sorry, I'm not going to wear anything. Research at wound care conferences nationally and internationally show that essentially 90% of providers would recommend it. 11% needed more information. No one said they would not use it. We've got a utility patent on the Heel Keeper, patent pending on the other 2 devices. So this is what the competition looks like. Which one would you or your loved ones prefer, or your patients? Pretty easy choice. Experts have testimonials supporting our devices as well. But what the patients are saying, I think, is more important. And I highlighted the last comment of each of these. They both wore the device to treat an ulcer and they continue to wear it every night for protection and prevention. So it's a physician-founded company. It's time for a new gold standard in pressure care. And I've got the Oscars music coming in right in time. So I'll stop my share and we can go to questions.
Thank you. Thank you, Thomas. All right, Jay, go ahead.
How's it going? Kind of noticeably absent from the presentation was, are you in market at all, or are you just about to go to market? What does that look like?
Great question. We have a direct-to-consumer presence on Amazon and Shopify. We move about $10,000 to $15,000 worth of product a month, but that doesn't. And it took me about 9 months, but I am on now the McKesson platform as of about a month ago, and so we need to start leveraging sales opportunities and calls to distinguish ourselves from the other 300,000 SKUs that are on McKesson. But it's going well. We have a presence in Australia. Currently a clinical trial in some Melbourne hospitals. We have a consultant in Europe who's going to help us with the EU and UK. And we're to the point now where we need to scale up personnel to basically build our sales force so we can take advantage of being on the McKesson platform. And, you know, the 10 to 15K a month on direct-to-consumer sales slightly keeps the lights on, doesn't quite get us to profitability. We want to leverage into the institutional sector, and that's where we need to grow, which, of course, as you know, has a pretty thick moat of proprietary contracts. But the McKesson presence is really going to be a big inflection point for us, we hope.
Thank you.
So,
Gary?
Gary, it's Gary. Oh, you can hear me, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, do you prefer Tom or Thomas?
Whatever. My wife's the only one that has permission to call me Tommy.
Okay, so I'll just call you Tom.
That's good.
Well, I got to tell you, from a clinician perspective, you know, I mean, you did a perfect job in terms of the presentation, in terms of getting the point across. You know, for those of us that deal with this on a day-to-day basis, probably you don't need as much, but when you have a typical VC crowd, great presentation. The one thing that was missing for me was the financials, which I think Jay was kind of alluding to a little bit. You know, you are early. You know, the direct-to-consumer part of it can be a little bit of an issue. That's a tough sell.
Yeah.
But I do get it. But the credibility, you know, and again, that's why we have this network, right? The credibility of having clinicians like you, okay, and the founder being the ones who developed this, who deal with these problems on a day-to-day basis with the patients, is very, very important, especially on the sales side of it. And I think, you know, you also, you could probably spend a little bit more time on the prevention, because what I would love to see is, as an anesthesiologist, obviously see this all the time and have plenty of friends that are wound surgeons. But it's always interesting because the prevention is probably the most return on investment, because if you can get people to wear this preventatively, then you're not spending all the money on wound care, which we know, you know, how we make all our money, but you know, it's a long-term care. And then there's the therapeutic. So, I mean, if there were slides, if it does exist, on looking at the size of the market and breaking it down into prevention versus therapeutic, and then looking at outcome and return on investment, you know, obviously when you're talking to the C-suite, that's what they want to see, right?
Right.
So that's going to be really important. And that's, in a way, addressed Jay's, you know, question that he had in terms of where do you want to go with this? Because if you come to, you know, certainly you come to me and you tell me you're going direct to consumer, that's nice, great, see you later. You know,
Yeah.
The enterprise level is where to go. But I just love it from the fact of that what you're doing. So my real question was just the financials, and it sounds like you don't have that right now. So that would be important.
I've got a slide or two in the appendix, and we can chat offline. But our burn rate's about 28K a month. We're a lean, mean fight machine. But our 15 to 20 a month of direct to consumer, or 10 to 15 a month of direct consumer, doesn't quite get us there. We hope that advancing into the institutional level will take us to the next sphere. And once that occurs, we should be in good shape. And I totally agree with you. You know, Amazon's not in business for Ulcer Solutions. Amazon's in business for Amazon. So.
Yeah, and the thing that's going to be really important to you is your investors need to be strategic investors. Okay, they need to be the ones that can get you into those markets.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Good
we're gonna
advice,
look
good advice.
at those
Good
we're gonna
advice,
look
good advice.
at those kind of investors,
All right.
things, like Uli's market, by market, that's where the clinicians really have a lot of advantage because, if you've got a connection to every, informaticist in every major hospital system, and of which some will be surgeons, there's going to be some real value of facilitating that business development. So look, keep
All
that
right,
in mind.
thanks, Gary. Let's move on.